Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to Correctly Casual. I'm your host, Recuffs. Joining me, as always, is the amazing Dorky Dev. Well, what's up, Dev?
What's up? That was a very short 2 minutes.
What do you mean? It was only like 15 seconds short of 2 minutes.
Yeah, I thought I had more time. Usually it's over that.
No. We were already running a few minutes late. I just had to pick the shorter, so I got us here. We're started. Hi. Gotta start the new year
Hi.
off strong, right? You know? Can't set a precedent of starting late.
We already did.
Shush.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, bud. It's too late for that. We're already here.
All right. Well, anything we want to talk about before we start talking about the movies?
Nope. We
Nope.
can just jump in.
All right. So we're going to start talking about this week, which I have dubbed it New Year, New Powers. By that I mean we are discussing the New Mutants and Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, felt appropriate.
Sorry, I'm typing stuff out into our sheets document.
Is it in the same one?
Yes, it is. I just
Ooh.
needed to get things typed out on there.
Oh,
'Cause
fine.
I hadn't done it yet. So I'm just also doing that, multitasking, and pulling up IMDb. Because, there's a lot of things we have to do for this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we gotta juggle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, got this. I believe in you.
Oh, don't worry, I got it.
So, anything else you want to talk about before we start hopping into these movies today?
I think we're good to go.
All right. In that case, let us start by starting with the New Mutants. Yeah. No. Movie.
Oh, where to start with New Mutants?
I
know, the release date.
That sounds like a great idea. I was thinking that. You beat me to.
Well, so, what a long, arduous journey this movie had. Let me pull this up real quick. What were all the release dates for New Mutants?
Probably like
So,
4.
it was originally supposed to be April 13th, 2018.
Okay, 2 years ago. 3 years
This
ago.
was supposed to be the year we started this show.
Mm-hmm.
This would have come out like as we started doing the show.
Pretty close, yeah. Because we started sometime around February, March.
Beginning of February because of the Paradox.
Mm-hmm.
Cloverfield. That got pushed, or no, that would have been after us. Yeah, that would have been after we'd started. April 13th. Yeah, that was after we started, April 13th. So that would have been after we started going to the theaters for these.
Yeah,
because Black Panther would have been out that year,
I think so. Yeah.
and that's one of the first movies we went to theaters because that came out in March. So we would have seen this in theaters that year, but it got delayed because of the whole Fox merger. It got delayed to February 22nd, 2019. Because they wanted to avoid competition with Deadpool 2
Yeah, they
that year.
that'd be too much.
Then it was moved to August 2nd, 2019. There's another date in between here that I'm not finding. Because it was supposed to come out. Where is it? There was one more date. There was one March 2020 was supposed to be one was supposed to release. originally. Then removed from Disney's schedule in March 2020 due to COVID. Because it was delayed to April 3rd, moved back to March, delayed.
We can get out.
And its official release date is August 28th
Mm-hmm.
of 2020. With a budget of $67 million. It is released during COVID times. So, opening US, and this movie was delayed to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this movie had everything stacked against it.
Every problem under the sea.
It really could. And they couldn't really do reshoots because everyone kind of grew up. So, the movie they had is the movie they made for 2018. Like, this movie has been finished for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to imagine they finished it, like, at least shooting late 2017, post-production throughout until that April, right? Of 2018. Late 2017 is when they probably wrapped up shooting.
Yeah, maybe earlier, but most likely around then.
We'll give them as much buffer time as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've been sitting on this movie since then. Until August of 3 years after shooting. Opening US at $7 million. Gross US 23 million. Worldwide 46 million. It did not make its money back.
Not
it was
in the
already
opening
an uphill
weekend.
battle.
I'm just kidding.
It was already an uphill battle for this movie, and then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm. COVID sucks.
Yeah.
Really messed everything up this year. And all those other years. I mean, not those other years, but this year didn't help. And there's a couple of things I want to talk about when it comes to this movie. Ultimately, watching this movie, kind of disappointed. Like, they hyped it up. They hyped us up since 2018. Like, hey,
did they hype us up?
A little bit.
No.
At least they originally did.
Oh yeah, when it first was going to release. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we get delayed, and they're like, "Let's try this again. We got this." And then it got delayed, and then they're like, "No, sure." But at this time, like at that time, I was kind of excited. We've been waiting for 3 years, as you said, for this movie to come out. You look skeptical. I don't know why.
I'm just impressed you had as high hopes for this.
I didn't really. I'm
well,
just saying.
I'm just more saying, like, you seem to be let down. This movie is exactly what I expected from it.
I was hoping for anything, honestly. I was like,
hey,
new movie, hooray! Let's see this finally.
Okay, that is your fault right there.
Yes.
The other fault is this is still Fox X-Men.
Mm-hmm. I hear you, and this is not very good, especially because I was sold. The main reason I was sold was because the conversations about it being a horror film, and it doesn't
not go far enough.
No, not at all.
It has elements.
Yes, it definitely themes heavier into the more like the darker, more horror side, but it's definitely not what I would consider a horror theme. That's why it's listed as like an action movie first on IMDb, because that's what it is. And then it's got moments of it being kind of creepy because they're like, hey, it could be kind of creepy, but it doesn't follow through with it. It's still ultimately a movie made just to try and, like, I guess, entertain the young kids and get them interested in these characters. And after that's all said and done, I mean, I'm not interested.
Like, I think you're approaching this from the wrong angle.
Sure, probably.
This is an origin story late into the Fox era X-Men.
Well, yes.
There's a lot of problems with that.
That flashes into Logan.
Which, again, in true fucking Fox fashion, when the fuck does this take place?
I have no idea.
Because we're seeing events from Logan, which means the X-Men are dead.
Mm-hmm. Aren't mutants like outlawed at this point in time or something?
God damn it, Fox. Just one thing. One thing we asked was a timeline. Marvel has had one timeline hiccup, and that was Sony's fault with the 8 years later for Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel went, that's not right. They fixed it. They went, hey, no. I don't, Fox, I know it's not your problem no more, but like, how do you fuck it up every fucking goddamn time? And you make it like, oh, they can kind of be independent. But then you flash to the other movie, which is in its own universe, but not, but maybe it is. It just, thank God this franchise is out of their hands.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I will say one thing. I think the cast of this movie does a great job.
I would say that too. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing these characters come back in some way. Magic's a badass character. And I would like to see, her and the Colossus from Deadpool meet up. Huh? Brother sister duo? Let's go.
Can you use the non-superhero name?
Of Colossus?
No, the first person you heard. What was the first name?
Oh, Ileana.
Thank you.
Miss Rasputin. She's Colossus's younger sister. Who was kidnapped, taken away. It's a whole backstory. You've got Cannonball and Sunspot in this. Sam and Roberto. Who are a dynamic duo in X-Men worlds and also become Avengers in some of the Avengers stuff. They would be I think they built the foundation for those two pretty well. I like that. Like, you can see that they like, they're hesitant of each other, but you can see the formation of potential bros, which I would love because those two are great characters. Let's do it. Let's go. You had Moonstar, and I can't remember who. I can never say her fucking first name.
Macy Williams is Rain.
I see double I's and my brain goes, oh, which one's the one that needs to be enunciated? Macy Williams. I can never remember her like hero name. But I liked both of them. Both their characters.
I'm sorry, you saying the double I thing just makes me think. How does William give you trouble?
No, because I've seen it enough.
Okay. Sorry. Macy, yes. Yeah, I don't know any of the hero names because they weren't talked about in this movie. That's why I was like,
no, because they don't have hero names in this movie.
Yeah, I was like, non-hero names, please.
Well, I know them as their three of them at least by their hero names.
Well, I don't, because this is the movie.
Introduced to them. Yeah, I know, but you're supposed to at least have the hero names mentioned. Because one's Sunspot. Sunspot was the one who he was also in Days of Future Past. Not the same actor, but a different person. He was that fire guy who showed up during the Sentinel attacks in the future. Yeah, that was Sunspot.
But was he named in that movie either?
Yeah, he gets a call out.
Okay.
I think. Hey, Sunspot, and a portal pops up in front of him, and he comes out of it, kind of thing. He jumps through it and gets into the fight. So there's that. But that's the most they've. This movie has so much more potential. I think part of the problem is it's too short.
Too short? I kind of agree with that. I do and I don't. I do. My biggest thing about this movie is I feel like it doesn't go anywhere good with the time it was given. Like, an hour and a half is considered a short movie nowadays. I think a 2-hour-long movie is probably maybe 2.5, somewhere in between there, is your average length film. And then yeah, and then 3 hours is a long movie, of course. And then you have Endgame, which was 3.5.
And then you have fucking Irishman, which is your lifetime.
Yeah.
God damn, that fucking movie. I'm so glad we haven't reviewed that. I will veto that straight up. I do not want to sit through that again. That is a long fucking movie. I do not want to have to plan this movie out through a week.
Mhm. But this movie though, talking about this one still, I feel like it doesn't go deep enough in any direction. Like it doesn't go deep enough into the horror sides. It doesn't go deep enough into our characters, into their development or their backstory. I think or because I thought it was all pretty obvious. Like Rain, her character by Macy Williams, like I thought that was pretty obvious what most of the stuff was, even like her defining characteristic, which was the brand. Like I was like, okay, that's easy because they literally talk about that in the very first scene that we see her. Like they just throw that out there. Ileana Rasputin, she's the one I kind of found most interesting, especially when it came to like Lockheed. But then again, once we understood what
Lockheed isn't technically Ileana's. That is actually Kitty Pryde's dragon. Kitty Pryde in the comics gets a dragon. And the reason why Magic is known to have Lockheed, though, is because Colossus and Kitty Pryde are a couple, and they hook up quite a bit throughout the comics. And thus, Magic and Kitty are actually pretty close. By, essentially family. So Lockheed really likes Ileana, so they hang out. This just, again, is me looking at Fox and going, why can't you get this right? Just in one way. Also, did the dragon come alive for a moment?
Yes, which was really confusing.
Because it didn't stay alive, did it?
No.
What the
It was only during the fight scene, and the fight scene didn't really make sense to me either. Like, because her powers aren't defined at all. Like, what she can do.
No, well, the problem is in the dude, trust me, in the comics it's worse.
Well, yeah, sure.
Trust me.
And each character after that, at that point, like Sam, he Cannonball, I guess his name is. As soon as they said his power, and then they said that he worked in the mine. And I was like, well, I know what that is right away. With Henry, he's like, just I don't want to get heated. I'm like, okay, I can kind of guess where this is going. And that was a lot of this movie, especially with Danny. Like this whole half of the movie,
dude, the movie should not have been trying to hide that.
No,
with Danny.
at all.
Just go into it.
Exactly.
Like, just let that reveal early. Build up how we can deal with it. Maybe help her try to control it, and maybe that be how we beat the villain of the movie. God damn it. Also, like the whole being the same company from Logan just fucks everything up. We are really getting spoilery with this, and I'm sorry, everyone, but like it's the only way we could talk about this from a lot of perspectives.
It's both spoilery and not spoilery at the same time. Like,
there's not a lot to spoil.
Yeah. And the thing I want to talk to you about is, what do you think this movie is more of? Do you think it's more of a nature versus nurture story, or do you think it's more of a coming of age type story?
Both.
Well, of course it's both. That's why I brought up both. But which one do you think is it more of? Because initially, I thought it was a nature versus nurture story. Especially when we get the two different analogies of the snake and the bear in this movie.
It's the two bears.
The doctor talks about a snake.
Oh,
or scorpion, sorry.
That. Okay.
And how the younger ones are more dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, that's nature versus nurture there. And then later on, when conflict and resolution and stuff of the movie happens, at that moment, I was like, maybe this could also be considered a coming of age tale. So, because it's kind of about getting past trauma, which is very interesting because I got a lot of different vibes, but it immediately reminded me, only because it's like childhood trauma stuff, it reminded me of It, because that's just the whole premise of that movie. It's an It too.
Yeah. I could see that. I don't know. That's tough to say, honestly. Like the way I'm going to say this. This movie isn't necessarily bad.
No. I mean, I got my dad to watch it, and he doesn't like scary stuff. So.
But I don't if you don't want to see some, like, there are some cool mutant moments in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like genuinely cool mutant moments, in my opinion. With Magic, Sunspot, Cannonball. They all have some really cool like mutant moments. Which, no offense to X-Men, we haven't gotten a lot of.
What are you talking about? This is fast guy. As a
We
kid.
haven't gotten, and they tried to replicate it for 3 fucking movies.
Yeah, they did. That's pretty. Anytime now in an action sequence, it's like, we've got a fast person. Let's do the thing.
I mean, you set a good trope for fast. I mean, it's cool, but that was all the X-Men had. Because you took out Wolverine, and even if you had Wolverine, you didn't let Wolverine be Wolverine. You nerfed him a little bit. Not to say that's not a bad idea, because you kind of need to in order to have a movie that's going to be accessible to all ages. I understand that. But you didn't have a lot of other cool mutant moments throughout the franchises. That weren't like, I guess, flashy cool. Like, there's some cool like Xavier freezing everyone in place moments, but name flashy X-Men moments.
The only other one that comes to mind, I believe, is X-Men 3 with the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay, that's a great example. Yes, that is flashy mutant right there. 100%.
And then maybe if you want to, this next one is pushing it a bit, I'll be honest. It is Magneto in Days of Future Past, I think. Or no, not New Mutants. The other one.
Apocalypse?
No.
Dark Phoenix?
Origin story one.
First Class?
That one.
When he lifts the sub?
Yes. It's not flashy, but it's maybe the next best moment, I'd say.
Potentially. I can agree to that. But yeah, the X-Men don't have a lot of flashy moments in these movies. Outside of maybe Wolverine in like Logan or the Wolverine movie literally tearing through people.
I don't know why, but I just thought of that really silly scene in Dark Phoenix where Phoenix and Magneto are having a tug of war over a helicopter.
That is not flashy. That's just, that kills people. He literally throws the helicopter. The helicopter's gonna crash. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
It's fucked. We talked about it when we reviewed it. This movie has some flashy mutant moments. Most of them coming from Magic. Not gonna lie.
No, absolutely.
Because
I thought they all came from Magic.
Flashy though, because her powers are legitimately magic. She's a mutant. She's essentially like another Scarlet Witch, and she's nearly as powerful. Not as reality bending, but like she is fucking powerful. But Sunspot has some cool moments.
According to this movie, the most powerful person is, what's her name?
Is Dani?
Yeah. So
I don't know her mutant name. She's one that I don't know super well from the comics. I will not lie. I can look that up real quick. But the it's, if you want to see some flashy X-Men moments, this might be one for you. She's just Daniel Morningstar. I think she's just, that's just her name.
I think my favorite moments, like when it came to flashiness, almost always came to Dr. Reyes and her shield.
Am I saying Morningstar?
Michael Morningstar.
I mean Moonstar. I'm sorry. She's got a couple aliases: Psych, Mirage, Moonstar, Spellbinder, and Dark Raider.
Psych is interesting. I like that one.
I think that's taken by someone else at the same time, though, right?
No idea.
But yeah, yeah. I don't know, man.
There are, however, a couple of other things I want to talk about. One thing I liked was they had a very subtle conversation about young LGBTQ love, which I thought was really interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, it didn't really do anything that was like super formative or anything, but it at least showed a budding romance on screen, which is something that wouldn't have happened a long time ago unless it was like a romance chick flick type thing. So there's that. That's one thing I kind of appreciate this movie for. Um, but with that in mind, one of the lines that really kind of bugged me was, even though they kind of gave a moment to talk about like relationships and LGBTQ, um, in a main moment of the film, one of the characters tells what's his name? Sam tells Roberto to nut up. And I'm like, that
No,
I
I
don't
don't
like
think it was
that.
nut up.
I'm pretty sure it was nut up.
I thought it was heat up
It could have
or
been
something like
heat up,
that.
but I'm pretty sure I read the closed caption on YouTube that said nut up. But
Well, you got to think he comes from a like lower class I don't southern-ish area in the United States.
mhm,
Terms like that are still thrown around today. So,
true. I just like I like it's not necessarily it's not a bad term in any means. I just felt like it was an out of place term because like I felt like Hollywood would try to be a little more inclusive and like assuming that courage comes from masculinity is not something that's portrayed anywhere else in this movie. So,
I mean, just it's a thing of its time. This thing technically was supposed to come out 2 years
2018,
ago.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
However, the last thing that I did enjoy, um, sorry, that last thing in chat caught my attention. Um, but the last
oh,
thing
sorry, my
that
chat's
I
not up.
did enjoy is
What did I miss?
the Breakfast Club illusion, where there was 100% a moment where it's like, "Hey, we're watching the Breakfast Club."
Oh, I mean, why not,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. The last thing was from Unbuttered Bread saying YouTube CC is kind of sus sometimes. I was like,
Yes, no, 100%. Um, YouTube's closed caption sucks
mhm,
sometimes. It is horribly off.
mhm. And
Um,
the only reason why it caught my attention is because I always shorten the name of this show to CC. So I was like, YouTube's
oh,
critically casual is sus. What? What's going up on YouTube? And then I was like, oh yeah, closed captions. Duh.
uh, yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean, yeah. No, YouTube is their closed captioning is rough at best. Um, yeah, no, it's this movie has so much potential, and it doesn't necessarily squander it because I think it's enjoyable in its own way, but
Mhm.
it's definitely not one. Weirdly enough, I would put it upper middle tier of the X-Men movies.
I kind of would too, but at the same time, it's also not getting like the highest review.
No,
I,
it's not, which really does say something about the X-Men franchise
Mhm.
from Fox.
Yeah, it like when I think of this movie, I kind of give it a higher review because it makes me think of other movies that I enjoyed. Like
That's fair.
it makes me think of Breakfast Club. It makes me think of It. I got a couple of like Psycho. I think was a movie that I could think of that I believe that was one of their inspirations. Um, there was also what the heck was they talked about in an interview how I think it was Friday the 13th number 3 or was one of their inspirations as well. And I recently watched a show that literally used that exact same super smiley face for very similar
It's
messages.
fucking creepy.
Yeah. Like, literally, there was another show that I watched where a woman was psychic, where she could kind of see spirits and also partially empathically read emotions slash minds. And she was laying down, like she was talking to this girl, and the girl drew a very similar smiley face and had a very similar story to Ileana's growing up. So, something about that creepy smiley face. This thing.
It's creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that. Um, yeah, I haven't really got. Oh,
I don't got much else either.
um, the one last thing I wanted to talk about was they cinematography. I didn't enjoy. Um, cause sorry, I'm getting distracted by this really long message over here. Um,
I don't. This you cannot put New Mutants in the same category as Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is a bad movie overall, 100%. Suicide Squad is is a bad movie. I'm sorry. If you like that movie, you are welcome to like Suicide Squad. I'm not gonna fight you on that, but it is not. I would put so like funny enough, DC and X-Men. Oh, concept is okay. That's fair. New Mutants is definitely similar to the concept of Suicide Squad because it's supposed to be like a alternate thing for people. And like I think that's the other thing that this movie has going against it is that from an X-Men standpoint, no one's as much as I like some of these characters, no one no mainstream people are going out of their way to see them.
you're not wrong.
Like no one's going out of their way to see Sunspot, Cannonball, Magic, Moonstar, or Rain.
Yeah, the only other time that kind of like random ensemble kind of worked was Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was
Avengers.
I mean, Avengers, yes, but
No, trust me, they were so little fast track for you. I'll keep it quick. The with Marvel, the reason why they went with the Avengers is because they didn't have the rights to all their superheroes that they would have gone with, like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. Those are the three that they would have gone with because those are bigger titles. They all had TV shows and stuff. And yes, Iron Man technically had a TV show, and so did the Avengers, but they weren't good or well watched. Spider-Man has had several shows. The X-Men have had several shows. Fantastic Four has even had several shows. So that was maybe that was originally what they would have wanted to do. They couldn't get the rights back, so like, what do we have left? The Avengers, Iron Man the Drunk. You got Captain America. That's so old school retro. Maybe we could get the Hulk, and Thor.
at this point in time, though, Disney didn't own Iron Man and
Nope,
Hulk
Disney didn't
either.
own Marvel.
Yeah,
This is when Marvel was still an independent studio and trying to come out, and they partnered with Paramount to make the movies. So they had to go with what they had the rights to, which was the Avengers. It worked out phenomenally because of Iron Man and Jon Favreau, and casting Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Like, you could not have laid a better foundational movie than Iron Man for that to work. And casting wise, you couldn't have casted better than Marvel did. And then Disney buying them before the Avengers movie just worked really well for them because it just meant that they had more budget to make these even bigger. And we see how well that worked out. Counter that, X-Men did not have that option to buy more because they owned what they had. They had Fantastic Four, they had X-Men. They had to work with that. So creating the New Mutants, you don't really have someone that you could throw in there that's going to draw someone there that hasn't already been used, cast as someone else or recast as someone else, and going to raise questions like, how are they here? what is this? Could you imagine if Logan showed up in this movie? That would throw so many more questions into it.
Like, I kind of feel like I was actually genuinely kind of surprised because I felt like they were gonna throw in a Professor X in here somewhere, like at the very end of the movie.
Which one do you choose?
Obviously, they would pull a X-Men Origins Wolverine and have it be a walking young Xavier who's supposed to be in a wheelchair.
Who's supposed to be maybe dead at this point.
He could be dead.
We don't know where in the timeline this takes place. So if you get McAvoy, how do we know about the fucking like the company that the doctors run on? And if we get fucking Patrick Stewart, he's done. He's not coming back.
Mm.
And like I know, Unbetter Bread brings up Gambit, because there was the plan for the Gambit movie. The Gambit movie isn't happening.
I mean,
I don't know why people are still holding out breath for this. Fox doesn't own the rights to the X-Men anymore. If Gambit is going to show up, he's going to show up in an X-Men movie, like rightfully. Then maybe we can talk about a Gambit movie.
Yeah, he's gonna appear as a side character in another X-Men movie at some point, and then he's gonna get his own Disney Plus TV series.
I'd watch a Gambit TV Disney Plus. Yes, actually, I would way rather do that. Actually, Beast could have been a good cameo.
I could see Beast, honestly. Yeah,
that would have worked. Like Beast. Yeah, because he could have been a monster in the woods. Oh my God, we could have written this movie better. Not to say this movie is bad. It's just that there's missed opportunities.
Absolutely.
Which is why if I have popcorns,
you can have your 10 popcorns.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
You read my mind as well. That's what I was gonna give it.
Hey, starting out strong, Steven. Starting out strong.
Yeah. So, like, this isn't a bad movie. It's just a lot of missed potential. It doesn't quite go far enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities. You know, hopefully the next superhero movie we either talk about or watch just happens not to have that issue.
Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, we're ready to talk about our next movie?
Yeah, let's talk. 1 second. Are you switching the panels?
I'm about to, yeah.
Go ahead and switch the panels.
Okay, I'll switch panels. Okay. And we've switched panels.
Yeah, I got to switch from the Marvel brand to the DC brand. Keeping the blue, though.
Okay. This is the moment when I reveal my surprise costume, too. It's a cheetah print scrunchie.
Oh, I fucking hate you so much. Oh, this fucking movie. Oh, the DCEU was a mistake, Steven.
Yeah, so this movie, I have, like, I don't know where to begin on it. Other than, like, it's not, I think it's better than the New Mutants. I'll put it at that.
I don't.
Really?
Which would you rather see again?
Probably this, honestly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How?
Oh, Jesus, I'm typing the wrong thing. I was trying to type in the Wonder Woman 1984 in IMDb.
Why you do that? This movie released December 25th, 2020, the year of COVID. Does not I do not have information on budget yet. Gross US though was 28 million. Worldwide so far 118 million. If I had to guess, this was around $300 million budget.
Okay.
You know, I'd say between 200 to 300 million, right? For a superhero movie of this caliber?
Yeah.
Or supposed to be caliber? I did not enjoy this movie for multiple reasons. Okay?
Hit me.
The big one being length.
I was about to say, it has to be the 2.5 hour length, which I 100% agree with you.
Holy fuck, this movie takes forever. Like, my God.
The first...
DC, why do we have to keep making long-ass movies? I can't. I can't. At least in other long ass movies, they have a reason to be long
Oh,
and they keep you engaged. This movie doesn't keep you engaged. It just teeters on and on and on and on and on and on. And oh my god, there's so many fucking little things in this movie that like oh god. Oh.
uh like I kind of agree with you. The things that caught my attention were definitely the stupid like exposition intro that we got, because it took for fucking ever for them to set up the pieces in this movie. They're like, we have to understand what, like, they literally told us the moral of the movie right in the very first 15 minutes, but the whole 15 minutes was exposition before we got to exposition. Then the next 30 minutes was building up on the new characters and kind of the relationship with the new world. But then the rest of the movie, the next hour and 45 minutes, is just a bunch of unneeded stuff.
There's so many. I think my anger at this movie is there are so many good concepts in this movie. There's so much good acting in this movie. Genuinely,
100%.
I love a lot of the acting in this movie. Pedro Pascal is fucking phenomenal. Gal Gadot rocks it as Wonder Woman once again. Kristen Wiig is genuinely enjoyable in this movie when she's given time to be in the movie. And Chris Pine is charming as ever. Again, great job by everyone. Casting, like acting wise, like these four just run the show, and they're great at it. Writing, direction, CGI. CGI is a big one in this.
CGI is a big one, especially when it came to like action involved with the CGI.
It's just like, what the fuck, man?
Like, there's a lot of bad, like, I already threw away the page, but I took a lot of notes this time around because I decided I wanted to try and get back into taking serious notes again, because the last couple of weeks of the show last year, I was like, I wasn't taking notes. I was kind of just watching the movie and kind of letting do my own thing. But then I was like, I'm not really getting into the nitty gritty of why I do and don't like these movies. So when I take notes, I can remember the nitty gritty. And I have 2 full pages of notes on this movie, which I wasn't expecting because it's Wonder Woman and it's DC. But looking at a lot of these notes, they're pretty much all bad and they don't make a lot of sense on a lot of the things.
Well, this movie should have been a home run for DC.
I agree
with you. Brought back the people who did the first one, which, yes, the first one has issues. We talked about the third act when we reviewed it. That the third act is definitely where the movie falls apart. But out of DC movies, I have a ranked list right here. It's number 2.
This one?
Shazam's the only one above it.
I'm gonna guess real fast. That rank is the original Wonder Woman, or is it Aquaman at the top?
For what? At the top? No, that's Shazam's number 1.
Okay, sorry, I was confused.
Our list.
So it's Shazam, Wonder Woman, and then Aquaman.
No, Birds of Prey.
Okay.
Then Man of Steel.
Are you talking about our list or someone else's
Our
list?
list.
Okay, I thought you were talking someone else's list. My bad.
No, this is our list.
Okay.
Our list let's go from 8 up, right?
Sure.
Of the 8 movies. Worst was obviously Suicide Squad, then Justice League, then BVS, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cut. Then we did Aquaman, which I felt should have been higher than Man of Steel, which is next. But you had Man of Steel so high up on your list that we had to negotiate some shit. Then Birds of Prey, and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I know the title's changed since then, but this is what we wrote down then, and this is what it shall be. Then Wonder Woman, then Shazam. This should have been a knock of the park because they could have improved from what they did on the first one, which we liked a lot of the first one.
I feel like you mentioned the first one had problem with the third act, and I feel like the third act had the big problem in this movie here. But it's not that it doesn't make sense or that it was like too quickly wrapped up or whatever, but it's the fact that it doesn't.
Which it is,
especially when it comes to the resolution of this film, which doesn't make no sense at all. We'll talk about that in spoilers. Yeah, the resolution of this film makes no sense at all. But the whole third act of this movie is completely against what we know about the previously established lore and of the DCEU. Like,
There's so many. Then DC is X-Men now. It is. I hate it here because this. Okay. The other thing is they wanted. So from what I've looked into and heard is that the reason why they said it in the 80s is because Patty Jenkins wanted to make the theme about, like, in the 80s, everyone wanted more. It was about more consumption, stuff like that. And that makes sense.
like,
If
there
you
was
actually use the 80s as your theme more.
yeah, I was about to say there was a lot of interesting things that they brought up, like because there was a little bit of 80s aesthetics when it came to the design of just the general design of the world. It came to outfit and costumes, and it came to a little bit of like the film style. Like, it definitely wasn't quite like cinematography wise, it wasn't quite the exact same way you'd shoot a film modern times, because it's hard to explain. But I felt like they kept it a lot more steady cam with a few moving shots, and because it was more just how they filmed stuff in the back then. But as
would you say that this movie needed to take place in the 80s?
well, yes, but they also kind of hammered in other things too. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You asked me a question when I was still in the middle of a thought.
Oh, sorry.
So, okay. Because they also throw in other things too, like the fact that every man that every woman walks by flirts, and they're just the random different things that you'll see with people talking, and the way that they dress up, and like there's small things that are trying to kind of remind you that it's set in the 1980s, but ultimately it just feels like it's modern day.
Okay, yeah, 100%. There's no reason this needs to be an 80s movie.
Mm-hmm. It, like, genuinely, I almost feel like it'd be better if it took place in a modern day.
Because it wouldn't fuck up the DCEU fucking timeline!
Mm-hmm. Especially because, like, the shit that happens, the whole world would know about.
You can't just, oh yeah, that happened, in a way. You can't. Like, I'm gonna bring up what Greg Miller brought up, and I'll go into a little bit more in spoilers. But this shoots a giant hole into Man of Steel's like Zod TV incident.
I could kind of see it. You'll have to remind
Zod
me.
Takes over all the TVs.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just why? This has such cool concepts. Like, you know, you can't cheat your way to being the best. You can't. I mean, you can technically in some ways, because that's
depends on how good you are at cheating.
It's set up. Well, that's just the way our society is set up and stuff like that. But that's for a different topic, for a different day, for a different show. But I don't know, man. It's just like there's some great themes. There's some great ideas, acting, but the execution. Because, like, if you explained me the plot of this movie, I'd think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool on paper. But I'm also not saying I'd still watch this more than the New Mutants though myself.
Why?
Because I enjoy the art of horror, and this doesn't try to be like, I'm a horror film. Like,
yeah, but this tries to, you know what this tries to be? Fucking campy. In the wrong way. Yes
and no. Well, I mean, it definitely got a lot of thanks for stopping by, friends who are here and leaving. But I definitely got a lot of, I guess, campiness, because there was a lot of convenience in this movie. Like it got to the point where I literally wrote like checks on everything that's important on my paper. You can't see it because my lighting's awful. But on the back side here, there's a 2 check right next to lasso of convenience. Oh
yeah. Well, this movie isn't good.
And it's, I would say some of the worst parts about it too is like how we mentioned earlier, how long it is. It drags out. Certain things that come to mind are the I literally called it the dress up / man out of time montage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that
Also,
I
like
needed.
the whole Steve Trevor thing. Oh man, really question some moral there.
The whole Steve Trevor thing barely made sense to me. Like, just because the rules of the MacGuffin, you know, like if they say it out loud, it physically happens, but if they think it, it half happens.
I don't know. Okay, the other problem with this fucking franchise of movies is that DC just expects you to get some of the concepts from the fucking goddamn comics. Because guess what Marvel does right? Is it explains to you the things that maybe aren't easily explained. Or wouldn't it just be like, or you would question, like Thor being a god, you're like, oh man, gods and powers? No, it's science to them. That makes they're an alien race with science. That makes fucking sense. And they live thousands of years. Wow. That makes sense. Okay. That's all you had to say. They're aliens that live thousands and thousands of years. They visited Earth before. And what we may see as magic is power or science for them.
Yeah.
Magic in DC is legitimately just magic.
Yeah. Especially.
But we've never had a movie that just explains that a little bit. That goes in. And I can't count Shazam as that because that was just like lightning bolt make me have powers.
I feel the only way I could see this working out is maybe with Black Adam. But I think the only way that they at this point in time they could explain the difference between superpower and magic is having them fight against Superman. A magic user go against Superman because Superman is the good all be all super strong guy that we understand is just being super powered because he's an alien. But if you understand comic book lore, his one weakness other than kryptonite is magic. So yeah.
Holy shit, Steven did a comic book.
I did a
Holy
comic
shit.
book.
What the fuck? It only took 3 fucking years.
So we need to get a magic user like Shazam to fight Superman. You're so happy.
I genuinely am, because it is rare that you explain the thing that I would explain when you bring it up. I'm like, holy shit, this is something I would do. This is fantastic.
For you.
Proud of you. I'm genuinely proud of you. Proud of you, kid. But like, yeah, something like that, like a Superman and Shazam team up movie where they fight Black Adam. Guess what? The animated movies have done that. It was fun. I don't know, man. It's just like fucking. What are the rules of this magic? How does it work? How long does the consequences take to happen? Do the benefits last forever? Well, this and that. Like, what the fuck? There's no goddamn fucking explanation of how the powers actually. All it is it's monkey's paw. But that doesn't explain the actual like things. You can't just reference something and be like, that is it.
Exactly. Like I can imagine someone being like a 13-year-old. Were you in middle school? Did we read a monkey's paw story by the time we were 13 in Arizona?
I don't remember ever reading a monkey's paw story.
You don't? Okay, yeah. Because I remember reading one at some point in time in my life, but I just don't remember what age I was. And I feel like just going, yeah, it's a monkey's paw. It's like that doesn't explain it. No one understands if they don't know what that concept of a monkey's paw is. And that I don't think the monkey's paw stories themselves have been popular since like at least as the main motif, as something that's brought up blatantly, like, it's a monkey's paw. I don't think that's something that's been brought up since like the 80s as like a main motif in a story.
Well, it was brought back up in the 80s because this is Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this movie in some ways, man, because it's just this. It should have been a fucking slam dunk, man. This was an easy fucking cakewalk.
But
just make Wonder Woman, but make it better.
But they got super fan servicey.
I don't care.
They gave you the invisible jet.
Goddamn, there's so many fucking questions with this.
So yeah,
Steven, how much fuel does a jet have?
We'll talk about that. Yeah. That's something me and my dad brought up too. How fast do they travel?
No, it's not even about the speed. It's literally about fuel capacity.
Mhm.
They're small. They are smaller. Okay.
That's what that was. That your first question during that scene? Because my first question was, "Huh? If I learn how to fly a single-engine World War I airplane, can I fly a jet?"
Trust me, I moved past that. I couldn't get past the fucking their plan of stealing this to fly to fucking
Yeah.
Egypt. Okay, like my brain couldn't get past to get to the point where they were fucking where Steve Trevor
Mhm.
is learning to fly a fucking jet after being dead for 50 years,
And
60 years,
mhm.
70? No, 70 years. This is about 70 years past when he died. 'Cause he died in World War One. That's in the that's like what 1917
Like that, maybe.
something like that maybe.
My history's terrible.
Reference? Oh, I was making a reference to a movie.
Oh, God. Speaking of references towards movies, I got really pissed off with this movie for one line.
Huh.
So when we understand Steve, like when we first start to understand Steve, she says, or he says, "All I see is you." Which immediately made me think of Infinity War, which did it so much better. They literally said that exact line during the Vision and Wanda scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All I feel is you.
Yeah. It's basically that exact same
God,
line.
that is such a good fucking moment.
It is.
I just rewatched that on Twitter last night.
Yes.
Because Endgame was and Infinity War were trending yesterday.
I feel like that's why they tried to copy off of, because that's very similar. And I was just like,
that
no.
Scene hurts.
Yeah.
That scene hurts.
Mm-hmm. But they also did other things that I kind of did and didn't like. Like there's a little bit of storytelling symmetry when it comes to outfits, both in the beginning and towards the end of the movie. There's let's see. There is interesting things like during the fight scene before the
Road.
television broadcast
Okay.
with what's
the
her
road
name?
one, or the one in the house.
After the house, but
Before going inside.
yeah, but before going inside. That fight scene, I thought was very mixed bag for me, because I thought it was interesting because they went horror in that instance. That was the one moment where they took horror themes, try and make it suspenseful and like thrilling, but it wasn't good.
Man, you remember a movie we watched a couple years ago?
Was it called Aquaman?
No. It had cats in it.
Yeah, that was a horror movie.
Did no one learn? Did we learn nothing
Nope.
from 2018? Because that was 2018, right? Or was that 2019? I can't remember.
19. That was last year.
Oh God, that was well, not last year, but like barely
Yeah.
over a year ago. Oi, oi, vey. Oh no. Have we learned nothing from that?
Nope.
Why did we do that? That fight, dude. The CGI, dude. The CGI in this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like there's some running CGI. It's bad, man. It's so bad. the fucking the running, the jumping,
Mm-hmm.
the pulling, the fucking.
Now, yes.
There's not a lot of good CGI in this, and like my problem with it is that like
The jumping mainly.
it's a lot of the jumping and the running, which sucks because that's a lot of what Wonder Woman does in this when she's Wonder Woman for 4 scenes. Yeah, you don't get a lot of Wonder Woman in this either. Like, at least in the first one, we understood why we didn't see Wonder Woman yet, right?
Mhm.
Because it was young Diana. She's new worlding. And she doesn't do it until the reveal. And it works. That fucking reveal, that moment is fucking hype. When she steps out of the trench and we see the fucking uniform
Mhm.
and she does the
Yeah.
and we get the guitar going and all that, and she does all the things. It's like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Mhm.
This movie never has a moment like that.
Not really. I think the closest we get to that, it would be more of an emotional hype, and that would be the climax, the resolution between the relationship.
Yeah, that's the closest you could get to it.
Mhm.
And it's maybe fucking 10 seconds of, oh, okay. There's the, oh, goodbye, not goodbye, run. And then we get more bad CGI.
Mhm.
Also, there's some like questions of, oh, I should go back and grab that thing. Despite me, like, maybe already being like partway where I need to go.
Mhm.
Why am I going back? I don't get this movie. I don't get a lot of the choices. Also, has Wonder Woman not flown in the other movies?
No.
Why?
It wasn't established that she knew how to fly.
Steven, I really hate, I hate everything right now. This fucking, god damn it.
I have one other
Why
question.
did we make a prequel?
One last question. Kind of changed subjects. Did you notice the parallels with Hans Zimmer's music scores? Like
The
you,
what?
so the main theme of this movie is like the da 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 na, na, like that weird slow. I didn't sing it, give it any justice at all, but you kind of get the point, I guess. Um, it's almost exactly to the same when it comes to key and rhythm to Gladiator. It's almost the exact same main theme to Gladiator as it is to this movie.
There's a song completely ripped off. The scene where after the first resolution,
Mhm.
um where she's doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um
Which, God, I hated that. I really did.
I can see what they were
They were but
trying. But the song they used in it is apparently from like Kick-Ass and was used in like other movies and stuff
mhm,
too. It's like it's a placeholder song that
essentially,
at this point, because it's overused. So it's a placeholder. Like, we're going for this tone. And they kind of went,
we'll just keep.
we'll just leave it there. Han's like, I don't want to write something for this. Also, Hans has had a fucking awful time with superhero movies recently.
I mean,
After he retired from it after BVS.
yeah, he kind of figured he was done with superhero movies.
And then he did Dark Phoenix.
Like, he kind of, last I heard, he was done essentially scoring movies after Pirates of the Caribbean, and then he did like 7 other movies.
And then he's like, I'm done with superhero movies. And then he did Dark Phoenix. And he's like, I can't end on that. No one's going to remember that. I'll do Wonder Woman. I'm sorry. But people aren't going to remember this for the music you wrote, Hans.
No, they won't
I'm
remember.
sorry.
That's for sure.
I apologize, Hans, because I think a lot of your music's great. But buddy, this movie wasn't it, because your music doesn't really do anything for it.
And then the last thing I want to talk about too is I wrote down a note at here on one point where our main character has a deadline. Well, sorry, our main antagonist has a deadline. Like, he's like, you have 48 hours or else blah 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 blah. And originally I wrote that down as like a motivation driving force, but that quickly became unimportant. Like, it wasn't even talked about again at any point. Which kind of disappointing to me because I feel like that was part of the reason why. Like, it's hard to explain because in the context of the movie it kind of makes sense. Because by the time we see that character again, it's already, the conflict is theoretically resolved for at least one-sidedly. So it's not really a problem. But that is a part of the problem because the movie starts by being like, hey, you've got a deadline. And then it quickly resolves that. So then the rest of the movie is like, well, what are we gonna do? And then then we get to see what our main antagonist's goals are, and it's like, oh, this was nothing that even made sense. Like this was no like our main antagonist, his goals, his ultimate end goal was not really alluded to in this film at all. It just kind of happens. Yeah. So
I just like, dude, again, that's part of the problem. Like a lot of it I can talk more about in spoilers, but like there's a lot of issues with how they approach the themes of this movie. And that's one of them. Like that was not conveyed to us well enough what they were going for there.
yeah.
And that's 100% on them for that. Like I genuinely don't know what the plan was, and I don't get it. I don't get what we were going with Maxwell Lord. Because I don't know, and like, there's some really important comic book stuff that happens with Max and
Man,
Wonder Woman.
I want to talk a lot about Max when we get to spoilers. Like,
Same. There's a lot too. Well, Cheetah as well with Barbara.
Mhm.
There's so much missed in this movie that could have been better, and it just doesn't work in this movie because like we spend so much time doing nothing on stuff that's going like, and there's like a lot of stuff like we can talk about this out of spoilers, but the stuff with Steve Trevor is just genuinely not something that you would expect in a movie in 2020. At least the way they approach it, because like I'm gonna mild spoiler one thing, okay?
Okay.
About how he comes back.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like we could have before we go into that spoiler. I feel like just his whole storyline was like it was an older storyline, yes. Kind of like the nitty-gritty of why he's there and then whatever in the like development that happens with it. It's an older story type, yes. But I feel like we only needed that one story because then we added in Cheetah. And
I agree.
That added in the extra
We'll talk
hour.
more about that. Later. What I'm going to go over is the fact that Steve Trevor essentially possesses a man.
Oh yeah.
Giving the man no bodily autonomy.
Autonomy.
And it's played for jokes.
Yeah.
As they make fun of his home. They have sex in his body, which is definitely a what the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like one thing
there's no moral questioning of this.
No, I think one thing that I would have 100% of preferred they have done is actually show the host's body more.
Yes.
And then show like a spirit Steve.
Make this a moral question.
Yeah.
Because these people are supposed to be heroes.
And that was not at all.
Because it is that he's in this person's body. And yeah, she says all I see is you.
Yes.
And we get that that's the concept for them. But guess what? That doesn't dissolve the fact that this man's life has been upheaved so that Steve can live in his body for a little bit. Eat his fucking Pop-Tarts and leave him in the middle of a fucking apocalypse. Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, the character doesn't even get a goodbye. Like, well, he does, but he doesn't at the same time. So, like the body. So,
yeah. How wasn't this the plot?
Like, it 100% should have been the only plot. I like when we get to the
okay. You know what this should have been? It should have been that and Maxwell Lord. Not. We'll go into more of spoilers. Actually, I have exactly what this plot should have been.
Yeah. So, do we want to just go into spoilers? Are we anything else we want to talk about?
All right, go. Wait. Do we want to before we get into spoilers? After we rate it, I think we should do the list before spoilers so people know where we put on the list.
But I didn't make the list graphic.
We don't need the list graphic. We just say it. It's It's not that big of a deal. I have the list right here. We can just add it in. It's
Mhm.
the DC. Who the fuck cares anymore?
So for me, with this movie and popcorn kernels,
Yes, give me
I
either popcorn kernels.
yep, I gave this one I rounded up to 7.5.
Wow. Wow, we are at a point differential, my friend, because I'm at a 4.5. Just out of sheer disappointment. Like, genuinely, this should have been a walk in the park. It wasn't.
Mhm.
What the fuck does that make it? That's a 3-point difference.
Mhm. So add 1.5 to yours.
Okay. That puts it at a 5.5 or 6. Fair, I guess. It's still under New Mutants, which is kind of what I was hoping for. Overall.
Like
Um,
I watched this movie first and I kind of enjoyed it more only because I just enjoyed the tone more. I enjoyed the story a little bit better. Like don't get me wrong, it's very poorly made, very poorly done, but I thought it did better than New Mutants. I was very torn between 7 and 7.5. I feel like 7.5 is too
yep,
much,
fair.
but 7 is too low. So I rounded up.
I will not I won't say you're not allowed to do that. I guess the next question is the list. So I went over it earlier. It was, from 8 up, it was 8 Suicide Squad, 7 Justice League, 6 was BVS, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cut, 5 Aquaman, 4 Man of Steel, 3 Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, 2 Wonder Woman, 1 Shazam. I will automatically say this isn't worse than Justice League or Suicide Squad.
Yeah, for me, it fits most likely either, I think, just under Aquaman.
I'm okay with that. Genuinely, I'm okay with it being under Aquaman, above BVS Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cut.
Okay.
Because that movie is also ungodly long in its original cut. And in order to get the movie, you have to watch the longer cut, which doesn't improve the movie much.
No.
So I'm okay with this being above there.
All right.
So that puts that at number 6 now. Woman. Hold on. I gotta add this in here. Woman. 1984, which was released
Oh,
in 2020. It's all on one thing. It's just that we have
now there's
multiple pages. No, it's just multiple pages on one Google sheet that I use. Just because it's all in one place. Then. Oh, undoing that. That's too big. Yeah, I'm okay with. I think that is a good spot for it because I think I would rather watch Aquaman over this.
I think so too.
And I would debate wanting to watch BVS or this. Like, it would be a debate for me which one I'd rather watch.
I actually recently rewatched Birds of Prey, and I think personally I would swap Aquaman and Birds of Prey, but that's just me.
You had that on your list, and I fought you on it.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Because you also wanted Man of Steel above Aquaman.
Yeah, that was all the way at the top on my list.
And I said, no way in hell that we're putting that way. Because Man of Steel is an awful Superman movie. And I will not stand by for that blasphemy.
You will stand by and you will like it. All right. So, spoiler time?
Yeah.
All right, hit the buttons.
Okay, I'm going to explain how you fix this movie.
Yes.
You can leave Barbara in.
Hmm.
Maybe don't make her cheetah yet.
No, not completely.
You put this movie current time.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't make it so everyone gets a fucking wish and we cause chaos. Because it becomes too much after a certain point. How about we just make it a couple wishes here and there? Maybe, because the other thing too is like we get our Wonder Woman moment really early in this with the mall. And it's not a good scene.
It's not. Like, After I started this movie with, it was me, my dad, and my stepmom. And at the very beginning, my stepmom went to bed because I started it late. But after the mall scene, my stepmother was like, "So, what are they trying to convey here? Because like, are they trying to say she's saving the world by saving this mall? That doesn't make sense to me."
We're putting Wonder Woman, the person who fought in apparently both world wars, from what the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
She has a picture of her like rescuing Holocaust survivors, and a she first movie took place in World War One.
Mm-hmm.
Stopping petty crimes and mall thieves. No offense, not the grandest way to introduce Wonder Woman.
No.
Maybe we didn't need to see Wonder Woman right away. Let's do, like, honestly, one of this movie's biggest problems is we don't know Diana. We know Wonder Woman, but we don't know Diana.
And they try to, I think, portray that Diana, that was one of the things I hated most about this movie too. Is the first movie kind of shows girl power, like you are an independent woman who can take control and do whatever. But in this movie, I'm in love and I can't do anything because I sit at a dinner table alone by myself, and the waiter takes away the glass, and it makes me sad.
I'm okay with her having like not gotten past Steve Trevor, because like, okay, I'm
not okay with it because
I'm not okay with that.
She should not be okay with
70 years.
Yeah. Like, I honestly feel like personally, she should still be getting over Steve Trevor. Like, maybe if it was taking place after the other movies, like modern time, I'd be okay with her not being over him completely.
Okay, let's say in our version, this is what happens. Because, like, honestly, it's still 70 years.
Like, I can...
Like, why is she... Okay, like, we don't have an explanation why she's like this. Because she's obviously, like, gone out and had friends and stuff like that. Why is she so, like, disconnected while not being disconnected? Like, it's off-putting for the character, because like we don't have an explanation as to why. If she said, well, men are greedy, like she just thinks the world of man is greedy, we would get that because she's from a place that's not like us. That would make sense. It's a one-off line that explains why she's very off-put, why she doesn't have a TV, stuff like that. She believes that, because like even if you go into the 80s theme that they wanted to hit the consumption stuff, right, where it's like more and more and more, which is what like Maxwell Lord is supposed to be, kind of thing. Okay, then make it be like, yeah, no, like there's just too much, like everyone just seems to want more, and I just don't, because she lives a very like minimalist apartment in DC.
Kind of, but at the same, like she has a minimalist apartment, but at the same time, I feel like she still sticks out too much for someone, because in the movie that we see her for the first time, she talks about not enjoying the world of man still, like that men are greedy, but she's apparently been living and integrating and working in the world of man for...
Are we really gonna bring up BVS? Man,
yes.
This just brings up, again, this is why this brings up so many fucking issues. Like, this is why you need a Kevin Feige.
Yeah, like I can't even argue like it's one specific scene in this movie that breaks the continuity. It's every scene in this movie.
Really is.
Like,
well, like the mall scene alone breaks the fucking continuity. Like, I haven't, you've stepped away from the world of man for 100 years, says Bruce. Well, there was this,
nope.
A little bit.
She never...
I've been going around, throwing my tiara at shit. And
yeah, I throw my tiara at cameras and it boomerangs back to me perfectly every time. Magic.
Well, that's just magic. Okay, listen, leave that alone. Don't worry. That's just magic. But also, why hasn't she used the lasso like this? Where's her sword and shield? Like,
dude, you brought up the lasso. Let's talk about the lasso of convenience, shall we? So, you spin it really fast, it becomes bulletproof. It can go from ground to cruising altitude of a plane. I'm assuming, I don't entirely know on that one. I could be exaggerating. It shows you the truth rather than just draws out the truth from you now. And
I mean, some of this stuff was in there, like the truth part, yeah.
and now you can
pulling
also
herself off the
communicate
ground.
through the lasso to other people.
Are you talking about to the world thing?
Yes.
That was because he was doing the molecule thing.
But still, like, she's holding
So
on to the
technically the
lasso
lasso
and
was-
using the lasso to communicate through him using the molecules.
Which that's not how that works in the
No.
first place, but
So, yeah.
whatever.
Like, the lasso just fucking does work for this movie. It's literally Mr. Plot Convenience.
Also, the fucking point where she lassos the fucking missile. That Steve fucking shoots. That is some Fast and Furious shit right there.
Yeah. Like, plus, like, because you brought that up, she lassos the missile, she rides it to get to the whatever, and, like, yes.
The kids.
Yeah.
Steve shoots a missile, but it's just saying, Diana.
Yeah.
It's a missile, but if she had no idea those kids are dead.
Yeah.
I know I'm having a child murder, but like,
No, yeah, I
think of the ramifications.
no,
of
I
your
do think it's
actions.
kind of funny. I'm gonna save these kids. Fire the missile.
Diana. Fuck.
Yeah. No.
Oh my god, that scene sucks too.
But that also makes me think of the action, because the action in this movie is just bad altogether. Like, I didn't talk about it when it came to the cinematography, but one thing that you want in action cinematography is you want to follow motion. This movie doesn't do that. Like, one scene particularly where that really caught my attention was the the cheetah scene. I called her Tigress for some reason.
Different character.
Yeah, where she's like, they're not, the motion kind of makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time. Like, there's moments where it works out and there's moments where it doesn't. And it constantly happens where the cinematography doesn't really quite follow the motion, and even then, when it comes to
a DC villain, by the way, looks of it, Tigress.
Okay,
DC villain.
I was about to say, I thought Tigress
so.
was DC.
Yeah,
That's why I was
DC
confused,
villain.
because
Tigress
this
is
is a
DC,
DC
and so
movie.
is Cheetah.
So,
I just had to make sure really quick, because Tigress is DC, and so is Cheetah. Cheetah is as well, but Tigress is as well. So,
But this movie, when it came to additional parts of the action that bugged me, was I wrote down, it's super fucking floaty. Like, and
oh my god,
the very beginning of the movie starts with young Diana in that one competition, and the first thing I spotted was, wow, they're just kind of floating through the air. And I was like, okay, that's probably the exposition moment, the show don't tell, of every Amazonian just kind of floats when they're fighting. And that's just kind of the way they work. And then it just keeps happening throughout the whole movie. She just kind of floats, and then she kind of floats. And then it gets to the scene where she flies. And I put the flies in question marks, because it doesn't look like she's actually flying. It kind of looks like she's learning to fall gracefully. And she uses the lasso to change her direction to fly with style. Yes, exactly. I was going to avoid that quote.
Nope, not with me around, buddy. You think there's a Toy Story quote in the way, and I'm not gonna say it? You uncultured swine. That's another one for you, buddy.
Oh, you're so funny. So the lasso is literally just the convenience thing in this movie.
Howdy. Yeah.
So
Dude. Okay, so on to the. Can I talk more? I'm going to talk more about the Steve stuff real quick.
yes.
Okay, you want to know how you fix Steve? Make that the moral question of the movie, because, like, let's say, like, Diana gets a wish, Max gets a wish, but it's not that. Okay, maybe it's that Max, like, wishes for something else. Okay, because if he's handing out fucking wishes willy nilly, which I get is kind of creative, like, this is a creative way past the 3 wishes issue. I think.
I mean, in this world, you only get one wish off the Dreamstone.
Yes. But Max plays that to his advantage and starts making everyone else's wishes for them. In a lot of ways. And I think that's a creative way past the one or three wish rule. Like depending on what you're doing. Like the you only get 3 wishes, Al, kind of thing. And you can't wish for more wishes. That's kind of a creative way to get around it.
I mean, just ask Jafar.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you brought the Aladdin reference, so.
No, that's fair. He kind of does the Jafar thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't fuck it up necessarily. He fucks it up in the sense that, like, yeah, I have too much power and you're going to go cuckoo.
But even then.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah.
After I get past the Steve stuff. So, you want to know how you make this more of a, like, plot point? Barbara's your side character who you save earlier as Wonder Woman. Let's say we have 20 minutes as Diana Lance. Diana Prince. Different DC person, sorry. Diana being Diana, okay? We get to know her as a person first. And we see her meet Barbara, who is apparently a friend, nerdy friend at work, right? And let's say that, like, they're hanging out and stuff like that. And, like, Barbara goes and does something and, she ends up in a situation where, like, let's say she's on the subway and the subway derails. Then Wonder Woman saves it. Hey, that's a cool way to introduce the hero, right? The hero doing a hero thing. After we know the character. If you're going for the campy factor a little bit, okay? I'm okay with a little bit of camp. Don't get me wrong, but you can be too campy. And this movie starts out too campy with the whole fucking, and I'm not talking about the beginning of the movie. I think there's a lot of good stuff in the opening, like Olympics thing. But it does drag a little bit. But like outside of that, when you get past that point, you go on to the like issues of the theme of you can't cheat your way to it. That I don't know if that should have been the theme, because, like, and even if it is, giving everyone the wishes just clogs things up, because we don't get to go over the Diana's wish and the consequences of that, because, like, we also don't know how quickly do the bad things happen to these people, because Diana seems to be losing her power over time. But what about other people and stuff like that?
Now, other people happen instantaneously, where, like, with Cheetah, her thing was she became attractive and wanted, so she lost her good personality.
Her best.
Yeah, the thing that she cherished most was her personality, but she lost that because she became sexy and attractive and strong.
Because she let her hair down and took off her glasses. God, the fact that trope is still around and everyone has talked about it, and yet we are still fucking doing it. Yeah. We'll get to Barbara later,
and,
though.
No, and then other wishes include, like, literally the throwaway gag was like, we gotta go, this chaos is happening, but my cows! A man asked me what I wished for, and I said a farm, but I didn't mean right here. It was literally instantaneous. Like,
yeah, but the bad hasn't happened to everyone yet.
The bad was that his cows came right then and there.
No, that's definitely not what Lord would have taken from him.
No.
Would have been something else.
But for Lord, it's instantaneous. I'll take your health and your strength and whatever. And he's like, I feel great again.
Yeah. So, questions with that. Again, this is why DC sucks, because, like, DC's reliance on magic sometimes is a hindrance. Just to have magic for magic's sake. But that's beside the point. Not what we're going over yet. The story about Steve should have been more about the fact that he's a man trapped in another man's body. And, like, there's 2 routes you could have gone with this. A, you do this story, but have them go, this isn't right, though. This isn't okay. And make that, like, through the story. And, hey, maybe towards the end of the movie and not, like, before the 3rd act, during the 3rd act, have Diana have to give up her wish. And be that the proving moment.
Yeah, and
not before everything.
The worst part about this whole thing, too, was, like, the whole, at least to me, I think I'm hitting similar veins by bringing this up. It's like, Steve instantly, like, we don't know who this guy is. He does the line, and then for the rest of the movie, except for when he's looking in the mirror, he is Steve Rogers or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All right, Steve Trevor.
Trevor. Marvel.
Wrong Chris Steve
Yeah.
relationship.
So he's and from that point on, he's that guy. I wanted to see the original body more. Like I said, I wanted to see the Spectre form more. But I wanted the resolution of this not to be, we need Wonder Woman. We need you with all of your powers. You don't need me because I already died. That was the resolution of the film. And it should have been, you need to get rid of me because I am taking over another person's body. I have killed somebody else to take this person.
I have essentially ruined this person's life.
Yeah. And
that should have been more of a conflict.
Yeah, I have ruined their life as well as your life. Like, come on.
Okay, you want to know how you avoid that problem in the first place entirely? Two options in this route. Either he just appears, not as someone else, but it's just there.
Yeah, I feel
like maybe in his World War I uniform. You want to know an even cooler route that you could have done, though? You put him in a... I heard this from... I'm going to give credit to Kind of Funny for this, but I liked it. So I like this idea. After she does her wish, like during her sleeping scene, you have a mannequin at the mall that she was at start moving and leave.
Oh, that's creepy though. I love it, but yeah.
And it's kind of got his face and everything.
That's a real monkey's paw right there.
Yes. Because then we don't have to have Diana losing her powers. He's like that. And it makes the line, do you want to be a real boy? Make some fucking sense. Because how does goddamn Max Lord know what the wish was?
Yeah, he shouldn't have any idea of what it was.
Okay, what do we want to tackle next?
Okay, next thing that I want to talk about and tackle is let's talk Max Lord.
All right, I figured that was a good segue. You'd pick up on it eventually. Man, why does it so? Originally, it said he wants to like provide for his kid, right? That is pretty much kind of his thing. He wants to be able to
think,
but then it's power.
Yeah, like from the very beginning, we kind of get this. He's the two-sided. He's Harvey Two-Face. He's a two-sided character where he's like, to the public, he's charismatic, he's intelligent, and he's rich. Like, literally. But in private, he's trying to be a good person to his son. Then as the movie progresses, it dips more into the whole, I want to be rich and powerful. Which, I figured his wish was going to be something like just making the oil wells give oil, but that's of course too simple. He wanted to become the Dreamstone itself. So
to essentially con his way into having all the wishes.
Yeah, exactly. Which is clever, but
no, it is definitely, I like that idea.
Yeah, but it comes out of nowhere.
Cool idea. Well, again, there should have been more build.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know how you get around that? Have him be like, you know what? What if you wished that? You know, just on a whim. Having the Rock. And then towards the end, towards the middle of the movie, he finally makes, because we realize that, oh, Max hasn't made a wish himself. And then he does the wish.
I can see that.
Also, there's some other stuff too, like some stereotyping of people in Egypt, which is another problem, which involves Max's character being there and all that, and God, dude, it's just
what?
Man, there's so many fucking problems with how they write Max, because dude, you wanna know how important Maxwell Lord is in the comics? He's the reason Infinity Crisis. I believe it's Infinite Crisis. One of the crises has happened because of Max Lord.
Okay.
What happens is he has power over Superman, making Superman do things. Okay, and Wonder Woman lassos him with the lasso of truth, and it's like, how do I stop you from making Superman do this? And he says, you have to kill me. This is before the Trinity killed anyone. the holy trinity of DC, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. Like, their one rule for all three of them, no kill. The one who is willing to bend that rule the most is Wonder Woman.
I was about to say she's a warrior, so.
And she kills him, causing one of the crises, one of the big DC resets, because every reset is a crisis. So, like, it's kind of like they wanted to do that, but they couldn't nut up to do it because people got pissed that Superman killed Zod. But the problem with Superman killing Zod is it didn't make sense in the movie on its own. Because,
like,
if you had the force to snap his neck, you had the force to throw him away.
Yeah, that was a new complaint that I heard recently. Well, not new to others, but new to me, really. Which was, I mean, you could snap his neck.
Is it from the video that I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snap his neck, you could turn his head.
But not quickie.
Which I was like, I guess you're not wrong. Yeah.
I mean, it is. That is a problem with it because, like, there's no reason for Superman to kill there. Like, when Superman kills in any form, you understand why. You don't like it, but you understand why he's gotten to that point. Like in Injustice, him killing the Joker makes sense. Him killing Zod doesn't make sense in that. Like, in that sense. I mean, in the sense of him being Superman, because we don't know Superman in that movie yet, because Superman isn't Superman in that movie. So I guess it makes sense in the sense that, like, he's not even Superman in that movie. That's the only way I can fucking goddamn calculate that.
Now that he's brought back to life, he should be the new Superman. Whenever we can, or old Superman, but whatever.
We'll get there. Wonder Woman in this movie, I could see doing that to someone because A, she's a fucking warrior who fought in the war.
Multiple wars.
The war. The Great War. The only Great War. Until we had the sequel.
World War II? Time traveler jokes.
They never talked about that with Steve.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a lot more you could have done with fucking Maxwell Lord that you didn't, and you just made him a power megalomaniac. And like and the resolution to him with his kid.
Yeah.
My big problem with this is that, like, his kid's just wandering. You don't actually lose. He didn't lose his kid. Like, imagine something happened to his kid because of the chaos he's created. And then he has to go. Like, imagine if it's him who has to rescind his wish, and that resets everything.
See, I agree with that 100%, especially because the way this film resolves, it makes no sense at all. Like, it ends with in this. Well, I'll get to the ending in a second. Actually, talking about Max, since we're still on him, like with the way the movie, because once we get to the end of Max, where he's like, "My kid, I love him. I gotta go find him." We get this, like, character moment with him where we get to see a flashback of Max growing up with his awful father, and.
Why are we getting it here?
Exactly. If we wanted to make the main antagonist sympathetic, we should have done it from the very beginning.
We should have done it in the first hour, 2 hours and 20 minutes!
That's what made Killmonger a really good villain, is because we were 100% sympathetic with his story because it progressed and was told throughout the whole story. This movie just has our moment of, well, he's actually a good guy, happen all right at the very end when he has a flashback of his awful father and then sees that his son is going to die.
But he's trying to be a good father.
Yeah.
He's still a con man.
And then the thing that bugs me too is there is no punishment for the thing that happened. Like, Maxwell.
There is zero.
Yeah. Just decides at the end of the day, I'm done. And then that's it. He doesn't go to jail. Wonder Woman doesn't do anything to him.
Is he still the monkey's paw?
I don't know, because he runs out saying, I rescind my wish. But it's not him rescinding his wish that fixes the day. It's everyone else rescinding their wishes. And then the weird thing is, now we're going back into the ending of the movie, is rescinding your wish doesn't do the same thing for every single wish. Some of the wishes go back in time like they never existed. Some of the wishes stop existing from that point in time. Other wishes just kind of, just we're like, oh, it never happened to begin with. So it's
Okay,
like,
speaking of the wishes,
and then some of the things continue. Like the chaos from the wishes, like the cows and stuff, is still there. But an hour later, I'm assuming literally an hour later, because they don't give a passage of time in this movie. Sorry, I'm ranting a little bit.
oh, you're good. Go for it.
The end of the movie is there literally Max and his son in the middle of Chaos Road, where you think there'd be people, like people running around, but there isn't, because I guess they probably did pickup shoots during COVID or something. Who knows? But he's like, son, everything will be okay. And then everything's okay. Literally, the next scene, seconds later for us, everything's fine. The world's perfect again, like nothing ever happened. And it just doesn't make sense.
The wish thing, a few oversights on their part, giving everyone the power to wish. And it's kind of, you could see the ramifications start with the, I wish all the Irish were taken out of the country. Man, could you imagine if some racist pieces of shit had the power to make a wish? Oh, wait, they did. So what the fuck happened there?
We didn't get to see any of that, thankfully, because it would have been, I think, too dark for this kid's movie, which is not a kid's movie.
You know what? I'm just going to imagine that one person wished, maybe I wish all the racists were gone.
Dude, the darkest we got was, I wish she would drop dead, and then she does. And then nothing happens with that. No one mentions it. Not even the people in the bar who watched it.
Also, funny thing brought up during the podcast I watched is how do they? So they rescind that wish, right? She gets up, not hearing Wonder Woman's speech, right? Because she was dead.
Yeah, so that she doesn't rescind her wish.
No, fuck you! You fucking killed me. Fuck you, you Irish bastard.
And that's a part of the plot. Yeah, that's a part of the plot that was very dumb. They literally said the only way we can end this is everyone rescinding their wishes or destroying the stone. Well, they don't destroy the stone, but I feel like it's physically impossible to convince the entire world all in one speech to rescind their wishes, especially if half of them are dead. So there's absolutely no way this story resolves the way it does.
Also, those nukes were in the air for a while.
Yeah, they were. But they kind of just disintegrated.
Why did we have to do the fucking Cold War shit?
Yeah.
That was so unnecessary in this movie.
I agree with you. It was a plot point that was completely unneeded.
I agree.
But hey, the president knows who Diana is. Good thing she's undercover. And not Wonder Woman in that scene.
And then Barbara.
Yeah.
I needed to address Barbara.
She's the only part of our rewrite that I think can be a problem. Because if we have it so she doesn't become full cheetah, then she never rescinds her wish to begin with. I feel like it's her becoming cheetah was to become sexy and strong like Diana.
Yes.
And then by the end of it, she's like, I want to be like no one else. I want to be the number one, the apex predator. She becomes a cheetah. So she gets 2 wishes.
Nope. Correction. Okay. And I had the same misconception. And it took me having watched a few things on it already. It is that when Maxwell Lord is doing his whole gathering all the wishes scene, he gives her some of them.
She walks away and she's like, I could see that.
That's her getting the things that Max has given her.
I could kind of see it. It was affecting her in some way, yes, but it wasn't really explained well. Max's motivation.
No, it wasn't. It took me, the comic book guy who analyzes comic book movies with a fine-tooth comb usually, especially if I get to watch it at home. Yeah, I'm over here with a fine-tooth comb. It's not explained well at all. It's not easy to see, and the fact that I have to be pointed out to me, I'm like, okay, that's a problem. We shouldn't have had that. Never should have happened though. just leave her as the like anti-Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
Don't make her Cheetah yet. Okay? Make her rescind her wish. And at the end, start to invest in zoology. Set it up.
Mhm.
If we're gonna give her a wish, then that's how we do it. We don't make her fucking Cheetah this movie.
So it would make more sense too. Like, I definitely agree. She needed to be more in tune with animals, other than, hey, I like your cheetah print shoes, and then seeing her
she
later.
also says I'm into like I'm in archaeology, but I also study little
Xenoanthropology
zoology.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
stuff like that. Like it's throwaway line that she's into animals,
Mhm.
and it doesn't play into effect until for two scenes the rest of the movie. I like your cheetah print.
I'm
I
wearing
want to be an
cheetah print.
apex predator. I want to be an apex predator. Oh, cool! I'm an apex predator.
Mhm.
That looks awful. Also, it didn't like. Why didn't we do like? Which is worse looking in your opinion? Uh, Killer Croc or Cheetah?
Dude, that's tough, but I'd probably say cheetah.
Because it's just CGI.
Hmm.
It feels way less real.
And remind me if I'm wrong here. The scenes in that movie, it goes from the White House to right outside of the broadcasting station to inside the broadcasting station. At the White House, it's daytime, right? And then outside the broadcasting station, it's night. And then we go back to a bright scene because we're indoors again inside the broadcasting. But I guess my question is, I bet you anything.
It's still daytime at DC, by the way.
Yes. I think they turned that fight scene into a night scene to cover the terrible CG.
Probably.
Like, that's the secret usually when it comes to terrible. It's gonna make it darker and it'll be fine.
Also, like, okay, so let's go over the flying jet real quick. Some of this. Trevor can't fly that.
No. It's invisible.
If she's losing, which we haven't really established that she's losing her powers yet, but like, show us a scene of her experimenting with that.
Yeah, like that was one thing that kind of really bugs me is she's supposed to be losing her powers throughout this whole movie, yet she also does things that she's never done before, like turning a plane invisible.
Which, goddamn, the fucking invisible jet, like, and that happened. I'm like, oh,
like it makes
how
sense
did
in the
I not see
context
this
of the movie.
happening?
Yeah, like my dad even asked at the beginning of the movie, he's like, "Are we gonna see the invisible jet?" I'm like, "I hope not, but probably." And it made sense the way they did it. It was like, "Oh yeah, radar exists now. That's something that you don't understand. So I'll just make the plane invisible."
But we don't establish that she has these powers because it's a throwaway line that she's the daughter of Zeus again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we haven't refreshed anyone on this since
Yeah.
the first movie. It is literally brought up in this scene for her to be like, "Oh yeah, I was curious how my dad." They don't say her dad's name. How my dad hid Themyscira. So I've been kind of experimenting with it. Which it would make sense if, like, let's say we weren't doing it now. Do the Violet thing. Do Violet from Incredibles. Be like, Violet, do the thing, and she can't quite do it. Like maybe have her like experimenting and not quite have it yet,
or
then,
maybe show us the joke, like she loses a coffee cup when she's a kid because it's invisible. Show us her practicing on a coffee cup and then spilling the invisible coffee cup again. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, something. Also, if that's a coffee cup, you better hope it's plastic, because if you break that, someone's getting something on their foot. Anyways, or imagine moving to that apartment like years later and just.
Oh, I'm just imagining like someone setting up like in an apartment tour. You put a bucket of invisible water on top of a partially cracked door. And then they walk through.
How? That jet can't make it to Egypt, though.
No, it cannot.
That is it's too small.
It made it from, where were they? They were in DC?
DC at the Smithsonian.
Yeah. So they go from DC,
where they walk in and steal a jet.
Yes.
By the way, I know it's like
They walk into the
pre
Smithsonian
9/11, but
and then fly away on an active runway.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Smithsonian has their jets fueled up, by the way, for a trip with enough fuel to get from DC to fucking Egypt.
And then back. All of this within a couple of hours.
And they didn't lose the jet.
Nope. They actually don't even show us what happens with the jet afterwards, too. Like, there's the conflict of getting the jet. They got the jet. That's it.
We never see the jet again.
Yep. It never lands. They don't get out of the jet at any point.
There's a scene where there's a field and some leaves blow by, and you're kind of like, oh, is the jet going to land here? And then it cuts. You never see the jet land.
Nope. You get nothing. Because it's invisible.
Kind of cool to see like Wonder Woman learn how to fly the jet, because then it could be her jet.
But no, she just learns how to glide or fly. Still confused on that one.
Still confused. Which, okay, getting into this, she flies to go to the thing, and then flies back to DC. I should get Asteria's armor that I found out there. Which, by the way, again, a throwaway thing, being like, "Oh yeah, Asteria, I went out and found her armor," kind of thing.
Yeah, super throwaway. Like, why is that?
Okay,
important?
you want to know how the beginning of that movie should have been? That thing should have been Antipy, Robin White's character, the one who is like her kind of like mentor from Themyscira. Her being like the Hysteria did not cheat. She, stayed true to herself. She wore that armor and defended us as we left. She didn't cheat her fate. She lived up to it. She went, if we're going to go with the cheating, to get what you want kind of thing. That's a great way to do that. And then maybe, show it before they go into the third act area, or like late second act.
Yeah.
That needs to be established first act, probably?
It was established in the first 15 minutes as the last line in the first bit of exposition.
Was it established that armor was not in Themyscira?
That part, no.
Somewhere else, and in Diana's possession.
No. The armor itself was not talked about at all in any story until she's like, oh, I got this armor. Cool.
And we don't know that it's the Golden Warrior's armor because we don't see it. We just see some gold from it, and we can kind of make the assumption. But if you don't remember the first 15 of this movie, you're not going to remember that at this point.
I feel like it would have been a better movie watching her find the armor. Because as far as we know, as audience members, is Asteria holds off the army of man while the others leave. So I would think all the others know is that the armor is out there somewhere. So the quest is go back to the last place that Themyscira was, and then search from there, find clues and whatnot. And then I feel like that'd be a better movie than what we got.
There's a lot of good movies in this movie that it was not a good movie. So my second thing is, man, this armor look wasn't great in my opinion. I didn't like the way the armor looked. I haven't heard this take much, so it may just be me, but from it looked cool in the trailer shots, but in use in movie, man, why did we have it?
It makes no sense at all. It's for like a cool I'm back scene, like I'm back and I'm Wonder Woman, bitches. But that's it. She did not need the armor for anything other than to throw the wings off.
After Cheetah apparently cuts through them.
Yeah. Which, to me, also doesn't make sense. There's no explanation.
Nope, doesn't make sense at all. But we'll leave it at that. That armor fought the armies of man.
But one person with the exact same strength as an Amazonian, can't keep up.
There's so many issues with this. Man, and then the result. Do we want to talk about the end?
Sure.
So we can end this?
Yeah, We've been talking a long time on this one.
We have, but this movie needs it. It's a long fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. This is a great discussion, by the way.
I'm having fun with it, but I'm having fun dissembling this movie. God damn it, DC! Like, can we just get some just cohesion here? Something. Wow, everything really just gets cleaned up in a nice little bow.
Yeah, absolutely. The movie literally just ends. It's almost as bad as that Crawl movie, where at least in this movie we get to see like the resolution of like we're saved, yay!
Oh, that was a callback.
Yes, it was.
Fuck.
That was such an awful ending. The helicopter. End of movie. This movie was. I renounce my wish. 5 minutes later, end of movie. Like, especially because, like I said, everything has a different resolution. There are some wishes that literally rewind time because we see explosions going backwards in time. There are some wishes that just blow up bombs that are flowing through the air and like just get rid of things that appeared. And then there are some wishes that just stop existing as in general. But they, like I said, leave the mess that they had everywhere. And that's part of the problem that I had with like the Maxwell and his son moment at the end. It just literally, the movie's like, oh, hey guys, we're about to go over 2.5 hours. Should we wrap this up? You know what?
Oh, yeah, we
should.
And it does.
Mm-hmm.
It just wraps it up. And I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't see any consequences for what happened.
Not at all.
Because also, this is never brought up again. And this is the other thing that kind of funny brought up that I agree with Greg Miller on is, man, when that fucking scene of Zod taking over the TVs in Man of Steel happens, how are people who lived through the 80s not going like, oh, hey, it's like that Wish guy. That happened in 84.
Hey, back in my day.
That's like the day the craziness happened.
And they're like,
what the cataclysm.
And then Batman's like, yeah, Batman's like, what craziness? Nothing has happened in like 100 years.
Oh, fuck.
Alfred's just like, yeah, I got a wish once that your parents were dead. And then it actually happened.
I didn't rescind it, Master Bruce.
I wanted a son. That was my wish. And then your parents died. And I got a son.
Not everyone's gonna rescind their fucking wishes.
No.
Maxwell Lord should have just fucking been like, I rescind my wish. And that should have just reset things.
Yes.
Let that reset things.
That's actually what I thought was going to happen. I literally thought throughout this whole movie, he was going to go, I rescind my wish. And then we were going to go backwards in time. And the whole movie
restart from the Smithsonian.
Yes. Where right before he takes it. Because he's making out with Barbara or something.
And then you still get Diana's wish.
Hmm.
And then see if you're ever still alive as a mannequin.
Would have been great.
Or you get the moment where Diana has to if we make this more of a moral question, we get the moment where Diana has to rescind her wish after that.
Like, the way
because
I see it.
If he rescinds his wish and it resets to then, right?
Mm-hmm. Then we still get Cheetah, and then we still get Steve back. So, better movie.
Better movie. There you go, everybody. That's how you do it. We'll see you guys later.
Oh, that's not true. Well, I mean, that is true. After about 5 minutes of credits, we'll see you for a mid-credit scene.
Which is arguably cool seeing Linda Carter, like, show up.
Mm-hmm. As Asteria herself, still alive. So, we obviously know there's going to be a third Wonder Woman movie. But now the question is, Is it going to be Wonder Woman 1994? Or is it going to be 85?
Can we just set it in present, please? Let's not do this.
Yeah, there's no reason. They need to come up with a freaking timeline for that damn series. Especially, too, like...
You know what? I actually can't wait for Flashpoint.
No,
Fuck it.
yeah. The Flashpoint Paradox 100% has to be, like, going between all the worlds. There has to be a Snyderverse DCEU and then a non-Snyderverse DCEU. You know? And the Flashpoint just bounces between the two.
Oh, fuck DC, man. All right, do you have shotgun news? Like, quick news?
Yeah, I've got a couple of quick news things here. Hit the button for me, please. Woo, we're in the news. Yay, news. So, the one thing that I wanted to talk about, the thing that I really think is going to make you mad, but also maybe makes you happy at the same time. You remember that Twitter poll that I put up about watching Shark Boy and Lava Girl and then We Can Be Heroes?
No, we aren't doing this, are we?
Not yet. We're gonna hold that off.
I hate you. You don't even put it yet on that.
Because Netflix is working on developing a sequel to We Can Be Heroes. So a third movie in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl trilogy. It's gonna be a trilogy.
Listen. All right. If you're gonna do this to me, we get a superhero month. Fuck you. All right.
Yeah, we could probably do that. That's fine.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know when this is gonna be. It's literally, the article came out literally today, 5 hours ago, saying Netflix is developing a sequel on Variety.com.
All right.
And so it's probably going to be about 2 years. So you have 2 years until we got to watch those awful movies. Unless we watch it now and watch the sequel later.
Then we get 2 superhero months. I'll leave that up to you.
We'll think about that.
Yes, you will.
But yeah.
Your choice.
I
get a superhero month regardless. It's just whether or not I get 2 on you now. Bloody.
But yeah, I saw that and I absolutely was like, Dev needs to know about this.
No, I didn't. I could have lived blissfully ignorant and just hoped that it didn't happen and that you had forgotten that it existed in the first place. And then you surprised me later. Be like, okay, well, fuck me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Spy Kids got 3 movies, so Shark Boy and Lava Girl has to get 3 movies.
It got
too.
5.
That's a good point. So obviously they got to get 5 movies for Shark Boy.
No, don't do this.
I'll make the 5th one. That's what's going to happen.
Fuck me. Then I'm in it, aren't I?
I mean, if you want to be famous, yeah. For the most infamous movie that will ever exist.
Okay. All right. Next news quickly. We've been here for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Let's talk about next week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to do that because I just wanted to see your reaction.
I hate you. Next week is movie is a TV show.
Yep. Next week is TV the movie adaptation. So we're watching South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and the Simpsons movie.
I'm curious how badly aged the South Park one is.
I can tell you now, incredibly. Because I was literally just thinking about a bunch of the jokes because I was like, was this a good choice? No. It was an awful choice for a movie if we're trying to be considerate towards other people. I think I'm throwing a ballpark out there because I'm gonna rewatch both of these movies. I'm gonna say The Simpsons is the better movie here.
Yeah, because I think The Simpsons age is better.
Yes. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm probably gonna laugh my ass off watching South Park, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm going to hell just like Kenny.
He goes to hell in that one, doesn't he?
A lot that happens in that.
It's a long movie.
So yeah, this is another one of those questionable, why did I choose these movies? Because the week after that, it's also questionable. But we'll get to that later.
I mean, what they already know the schedule. It's below us, and you brought
Yeah,
it
I
up. So
know.
I'm just more looking forward to week 4, because then we get some Dragon Ball.
That one I'm actually kind of interested in.
I can't wait to see like Dragon Ball Broly again. Dragon Ball Super Broly.
I haven't seen any of Dragon Ball Super, so like I
It's this is a good movie. This is a good so like everything Dragon Ball that's come out movie wise recently, which was Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, both pretty good movies. Battle of Gods is just better than Resurrection F. Broly beats both of them in just fucking epicness.
yeah, the one thing that I'm going to probably judge Brawley on the most is the animation, especially when it comes to the fight scenes, because that's what is important in a Dragon Ball episode in general is the fight scenes. So, if the fights aren't well animated, I'm probably going to be upset. Because I'm kind of directly alluding towards like DC animated movies. They're good, but I feel like the fight scenes are pretty basic in comparison.
And we've had some problems with animation with some of the new 52 era that they did, which went way longer than it should have and ended with a fucking flashpoint, and it still pisses me off. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that was
fuck
annoying.
you, Doomsday.
So yeah, but yeah, other than that, I've got nothing else.
Cool. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
then.
we're done, everybody. We out of here. I gotta use the restroom.
I want to play some Call of Duty. I'll vent out some rage.
Let's say I want to play Minecraft with you so I can brag and show off a bunch of work that I've done.
I might pop up on Minecraft for a moment. Just
all right. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. You know, do the like, comment, subscribe. You know, do whatever it takes.
listen to us on the audio services around the globe.
You know, leave a comment. Suggest the show. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, suggest some movies if you're watching this. You can even add us at HarHQ.
Yeah. At some point, we're gonna start doing the fan picks again because that's something I genuinely want to do. Is I want to do it at least once a month, but we don't get enough interaction online. I feel to be able to do a audience pick once a month. So, you guys interact with us more. You get more.
Yeah, if you're listening to the audio versions, join us on Twitter.
Yeah.
At HarHQ.
Exactly. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week for South Park and Simpsons movies.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's...
Oh!